Hi, everybody. I'm Caroline.
I'm Bill.
That's Bill. Those are the chickens. We thought we would have you guys hang out with the chickens with us today. So today we're going to do a hip and back series to help loosen up this region. We got a lot going on in the world, which can keep us from being grounded. It can have us being kind of over feeling about everything. Anybody with anxiety right now is probably like a pendulum swinging a bit wildly out of control. So this type of slower moving sequence is great for that. It's great for any pain type issues. You're going to have to just manage the positions for yourself. Make sure you modify everything. Make sure that you've checked with your medical professional first before you start any kind of movement program. Any props that you need, couch pillows. Today we're going to be using head pillow. We're going to be using a strap. You can use a necktie. I'm trying to keep things within like a reasonable, I don't want anybody to have to go out and buy anything, but reasonable, something I can grab within the household. And then blankets. If you're going to grab a fleece blanket, make sure you grab 2 because they compress so much. These are just big cotton Mexican blankets. So that's always something that you could use. We're going to use that as our restorative posture on the end. Other than that, we're going to get moving. So we'll start with 3 rings of the Himalayan singing bowl. We're going to settle our sits bones down and in. Take a breath down through that spine so that it takes a hold of that tailbone and roots it down. And when we exhale, clear it out through the top of the head. Try that again. Breathe it down to the tip of the tailbone, rooting down. And then exhale, clear it out through the top of the head. One more time. Breathe it in. And then clear it out through the top of the head. And then just take a moment to be in the body. If sitting square on the floor like this doesn't work in your world, don't do it. Stick something up under the tush. Lift the body, because if the hip flexors start fighting, that low back can be set off, and that can be uncomfortable as well. Just notice. Am I feeling more emotional today? Am I feeling less emotional today? Am I feeling centered? Just breathing. There we go. And then we got 3 deep breaths. If you want to ah, oh, or om, amen, or shalom, do all those things. Breathe in. Inhale again. One more time. Now as this bowl rings out, we're going to use the sound as a reminder to our nervous system that if we come across anything in our practice that causes us to catch our breath or tighten up, sound just flows, it just moves. The breath makes a sound, it is a frequency, so use the breath to move through those spaces in your body. Take a breath down to the tip of the tailbone. Breathe it out through the top of the head. Clear anything away. And then take the hands, put them right behind the hips. Place both feet flat on the floor. And then start to tip your knees from side to side. Now, if you've been particularly stiff because you've been outside of your exercise routine, you may want to just do this one leg at a time. You could let one knee dip in and then the other. You could walk the legs even wider apart. For some folks, that feels better. For some folks, it ain't going to happen in this lifetime. That's perfectly fine.
Oh, hi, Lamb Chop. She's so sweet. She's a nice birdie.
Some people do goat yoga. We do chicken yoga. And then let those knees come up through center. Step them a little closer together. Grab the backs of those thighs. Lift the heart space and either hold here or tip back and lift those shins up. So if we're getting into hips and low back, we need to then check in with the core of the body. Hips and low back, they correspond to our root chakra, our grounding center, our sense of home, and they correspond to our sacral chakra, where all of our feelings are. I don't know about you, but I've been kind of like a feeling cyclone lately. I feel good, I feel bad, I'm up, I'm down. Oh my God, yay! There's very little that's in between right now. Breathe in. Don't you laugh. My hands reach up. Yeah, I'll make you stop laughing right here. Yeah, laugh through that. Right. Oh, maniacal laugh. Breathe in. Breathe out. Put the soles of the feet together. Put them down. Bow down over your toes. Taking that body weight and circling in around the root and around the sacrum. Now, if you're not a chakra person, don't worry, we don't judge. These would be the place in the body where we hold. So a lot of people with gut issues, if you've got IBS, you've got a regularly grumbly tummy, you've got Crohn's disease, those kinds of things, our feelings are kept in our belly. And so we could end up with acid reflux. We could end up with cramping colon on a regular basis. So if you want to go into the physiology of all of this, bring the body down into that space, because we want to close in on it so that when we open up, like right now with a big deep breath, arms reach up. As we open up, we find more comfort and more freedom. Breathing in, breathing out. Take those hands, slide them behind, roll down onto the forearms. And then walk the feet a little wider apart so that the back of that pelvis finds some comfort. And then lift the heart space by pressing down into the forearms, and then tuck the low back down into the floor. Point the tailbone down at the floor, lift the heart, and then tuck in and around that root and that sacrum. And then lift, breathing in. Exhale, breathing out. Roll that spine down on the floor. And then take the fingertips, put them right behind the ears. We don't clasp behind the head anymore. They find that over time that creates neck injuries. And we're going to take those heels up toward the ceiling. For those of you that just went, that ain't going to happen, you can let go of your head and grab the backs of your thighs instead, or you can put the feet back on the floor. But we're going to roll the head and shoulders up. And then alternately, we're going to take the right hand and reach up toward the right big toe. If you could touch it, you could touch it. Now it's going to be real tempting to reach up and grab the leg and hold there. But I want to get into this feeling region. I want to get into this grounding region, because a lot of times when I'm out of balance, my ego has gotten out of control. So I want to try to get these little spheres of feeling and grounding and ego, get them back to neutral. Roll that hand back behind the head, roll the head and shoulders back down, bend the knees, send the heels a little further away from the body, pull that low spine down into the floor. Inhale. Exhale, knees come back a little, the heels come back up, head and shoulders roll up, and then the left fingertips reach toward the toenails. So if we're out of routine right now, we're out of work, we're out of school, ego can be really having an issue right now. We can be saying angry things. Breathing in, breathing out, roll that hand behind the head, roll that down, bend the knees. Again, this time, then reach up, grab the shins and pull them in to the backs of the thighs, pull the thighs into the belly, and then just give yourself a little rock from side to side. So if you're new to chakras, we've got our root down by the hips. We've got our sacrum roughly behind the belly button and a little lower. And then we've got our solar plexus. And ego drives the chariot right here. Feelings right down in here. They're wishy-washy. They're like water. And then we've got the bowl of the pelvis is where the root is. So the bowl of the pelvis is holding those wishy-washy feelings just like this. I'm going to pour those feelings into the bowl of that pelvis. And then we've got the ego above it. It should be a bit like of a sunshine warming that water. But if our sense of purpose is wrapped up in what we do for a living because we help others, or it gives me a sense of job well done at the end of the day, or maybe I'm a teacher and all my students are at home, something along those lines, I could be just bursting to want to find purpose and it's not there. So a lot of these movements are going to help bring that back into balance so that I'm not frying those around me with my, oh my God, what am I going to do right now? Well, we're all going to do the same thing. We're going to hang out at home. We're going to give 6 feet of space to each other. And then we're going to take our heels and we're going to drive them back up toward the ceiling. All right, so Bill might want to hang on to the backs of his thighs. Those of you that don't need to, awesome. Just let the heels do the reaching so that you feel it up the back of the calf. You feel it through the back of the hamstring, and that pelvis feels really, really heavy on the floor. And then check in. Make sure that you're not tipped into one hip more than the other. Take one more big deep breath in. And then bend those knees, put the feet down right behind the sacrum, and then the right leg's going to come back up. Grab the back of that thigh if you can. If you need to leave a bend in the knee, leave a bend in the knee. But if you don't need to, then hold there, hold the calf, or hold the foot. And if you could put head and shoulders back down and get more length out of that hamstring, then more power to you. Breathing it in. Breathing it out. Release that leg. Put that right ankle on top of that left thigh. Hands on either side of the hips. If you need both feet on the floor for a bridge, please put both feet down. Otherwise, press down into the sole of the left foot. Press into the backs of the arms and lift the hips. Now, I say press into the backs of the arms because if you lift your arms up off the floor, then you're going to tend to tip to one side. Those arms bring that upper back strength into play, and I want to really press those shoulder blades into the mat so that I can find strength between my shoulder blades to fight osteoporosis and dowager's hump. Breathing it in. Breathing it down, reach up, either grab the back of the left thigh and pull everything in figure 4. Straighten the leg if you want to, walk up to the foot if you want to, or just keep it here and maybe even rock the hips. So super modified, figure 4. Taking that modification up a notch and then taking it up even higher. Breathing in, breathing out, roll head and shoulders down, put that left foot on the floor, right foot on the floor, arms out into T position, and then let your knees tick-tock side to side. Check in with your sense of grounding right now. If you don't know what that means, do I feel at home in my body? Do I feel at home in my space right now? And there is no right answer. It could be yes, it could be no, it could be sort of, kind of, maybe. Just so that you know how you actually feel at the moment. And then knees come up center, walk the ankles a little closer together again, low back down into the floor. Left leg, heel reaches toward the sky. If you want to grab the back of that thigh, you could. If you wanted to pull that leg over the top of the body, you could do that as well. Or reach for the foot and pull it over. One of my rules is that there is no pain in yoga. If you come to this practice with pain in your body, you don't want to leave in more pain or having to take a muscle relaxer or something. You want to leave And either, essentially, the same amount you started with because of whatever injury or surgical region it is, or leave with less. Breathing it in. Breathing it out, release that left leg, put that ankle on top of that thigh. Either hold here or pull that leg up and in, grab the back of the right thigh, roll the head up and in if you want to, straighten the leg if that would speak to you, or reach for your toes. Just lots of breaths. So now we're working the abdominal region, which can stir up feelings, which can kind of hit me in the ego as well. Can leave me a little bit ungrounded. But I'm stirring for good purpose to get all those sensations out of my nervous system. Next time you exhale, roll down. Ah, beautiful. Release that foot to the floor, hands on either side of the hips. Stabilize with the arms, roll the shoulder blades down into the mat, and then press down into that right leg. Now, if you need to have both feet down, put both feet down for a regular bridge. If you don't like bridge, just go back to doing the windshield wipers with the knees. But this strengthens the posterior chain. This strengthens the back side of the body. Breathing it in. Breathing it out. Roll it down. Take the soles of the feet, put them together. Let the knees flop out wide. And you might want to just give yourself a little rock and roll. A little shooby-doo here. Little doobie-doo-boo, ba-doo-boo-boo. Because that's the way Bill's feeling in his red head right now. I could see it on his face. He was all boo-boo, ba-doo-boo, pa-pa-pa, ba-bam-bow. Or not. Diddle-doo, diddle-doo, diddle-doo. Oh, one more breath here. All right. Find your strap. Da-da-da. Knees come up and together. Plant the back of that sacrum nice and firm on the floor. Lift one heel, then the other. Place that strap around both. Now, if this is hard for you, call to the other room for someone to come say, hey, put the strap on my feet for me. Or hold on, do it like this, and then send it up. So low back pulls into the floor. Breathing it in and breathing it out. And then give that strap a little bit of a pull and just check. Now, if you happen to be male and you pull and your whole lower back pulls up and away from the floor, it's not uncommon, but you may have never noticed that it's happened. So there's a huge bank of scar tissue down here at the bottom of the back. And for you guys, your hamstrings get tied into your glutes are tied into your lower back, and your lower back's all knotted up with all that scar tissue. And so if you rolled up like a turtle in the middle of its back, you want to work that sacrum back down so that you can then send the heels up to find the length in these hamstrings. Let the upper back just settle on the floor. We're being heavy down into those hip sockets. Breathing in, breathing out. All right, arms go a little wide. Bill and I are going to drop out into wide V's. So not the most attractive view, but that's okay. So, and then you could take this and you could rock it from side to side really easily. Just little to and a little fro. But if that's uncomfortable, or if you feel like you're going to fall over and that would be injurious to your body, then just keep it nice and still. Pressing through those heels, pulling those shoulder blades down into the mat. And if that doesn't feel good, you could sit up just like this, wrap it around, and come out here and do the same thing. So for some people, being on your back, not so comfortable. So do most of this sitting up instead. Modify the modifications. One more rock and roll to each side. And then pull up through center. Those legs are going to come back together. You're going to take the left leg out and either put the left foot flat on the floor or send that leg long and away. And then Bill's going to hold onto that strap and just try to press that heel up toward the sky right above that hip socket. Now, it's not going to work for all bodies. So we either reach up like this, we put the left foot on the floor, or we bend, and we can bend and straighten. And just notice the really heavy quality of the pelvis. Whether the low spine is wanting to pull up and away from the floor, pulling into that feeling center, because if we've been anxious or if we've been worried or fearful lately, we might be tight in that center body and it's trying to pull up and away from the floor. So if we think of being heavy there and we breathe into those spaces, then we're talking to that nervous system. And we're talking to our body chemistry and we're saying, please just give up the ghost for a little bit. And then just when you think we've been doing this too long, start to make circles. So you could hold the straps in both hands. You could hold the strap in the right hand. And you start with small circles and then you slowly start to let them grow. Now, hip freeing series is something that I learned long ago. Here goes another Southwest. And it's something that I go back to on a regular basis. One more time around. And then pause wherever you end up. Go in the opposite direction. You may need to start small. And then let it grow from there. Let it grow. Let it grow. Can't hold me back anymore. You could roll on one hip. Onto the other. Give yourself 2 more circles wherever you are. Bill and I are two oiled cogs. Or he's just better at avoiding me than I am. And then lift that leg up center. Grab the straps in the right hand, left hand goes out in T position. Let that leg fall nice and open. Come here, birdie. Hi. They're like dogs. They come when we call them. Hi, Mama. That's lamb chop. I love lamb chop. Inhale. Exhaling. If you've got that left foot on the floor, just be gentle as you pull that leg back up and through. And then if you're going to keep that left knee up, the right arm goes out and then we pull slightly across the body. If you happen to be male, you can get pinchy here in the center area. So just make sure that everything shifts as need be. But if your leg is not nice and long, then you fall into it as much as you can. If you need a couch cushion to come up under there to support the leg instead of holding here because the hands are getting tired or the arthritis is kicking in, throw some footstool, anything up and under there. But it's going to work on that IT band. It's going to work on that connection in the hip. And then we hold for a really long time to give that hip space a lot of time to find a little more release. It's like I tell a lot of my classes on a regular basis. I used to work in operating rooms, and I used to watch a 6'2" man with a 5-pound hammer and a chisel lean into doing hip replacements. It takes a lot to find more space in a hip. It really does. So it just takes time and patience. Breathing in. Breathing out. And then lift up through center. And then pull that knee right over that right shoulder. So if that's too much for you and you need to sit up and you need to pull up and in this way, feel free to do so. Make it work any way you need to. Like my instructor Dana says, move like you. Breathing in. Breathing out. Ah, and then take both feet, lace them back up and in before I fall off the deck. Ah. And then let the legs fall out into a wide V again. If you want to rock from side to side, rock from side to side. Gravity and body weight are a beautiful thing to apply to that low back. And then pause in the center, let those feet come back together. Take that right foot out, either put the sole of the right foot on the floor or send that leg long and away. And then we're going to pull this leg over the top of the body for just a little bit. Shoulder blades nice and glued into the mat. Feel this sacral and root region as this thigh pulls up and in. As the hamstring ignites, oh, it ignites, and you know it does. So when the hamstring ignites like a flame, we don't want it to steal too much of the attention away from this belly region. Release that leg a little bit and start to make circles. Very nice. Now, if you need to sit in a chair for these types of things, you could always sit in a chair. The issue that happens is that the leg starts to get really heavy and the hands start to hurt. It just is a thing because the leg's heavy. There we go. Let those circles grow as much as you want to. Make sure you modify in all the ways. I like to make rocket noises. One more time around. And then wherever you end up, little circles in the other direction. And you want to have some concentration in that right heel. You want to flex that right foot so that that right quad flexes if your leg is out nice and long. Or else make sure that that knee is still pointed at the ceiling so that knee isn't just drifting away until you start making larger circles. Then you can let that knee drift away. But if that impinges that hip, then we need to make sure that we're keeping some attention in that inner thigh if that foot's planted on the floor. Beautiful. Two more times around. See what you're working with in there. And then bring that leg up through center. Pull that leg over the body. Flex that right foot. Press up through that left heel. Breathe the upper back into the floor. And then when you exhale, settle the lower back more firmly into the floor to give you a sense of rooting and grounding. And just notice whether the extreme feelings are starting to dissipate and whether your body is becoming your home again. Next time you exhale, release. Take that right foot, put it back up in. We're going to take our feet, we're going to press them into the strap. We're going to rock forward and come up to balance. Now, you can do this in several ways. You can hold on like a chariot driver, or you can take a nice light touch on the strap and let the shoulder blades come back and together, lifting with the heart, not gritting the teeth. We don't want any dental work after we do yoga. Breathing in, breathing out. Soles of the feet come together, put the outsides of the ankles down. We're going to take the straps close to the feet, just to give us something nice and firm to hold on to. Bring the collarbones forward and the elbows down toward the front pockets. So when they come down toward the front pockets, that heart drives forward. We're creating space in the belly instead of squishing into the belly. We don't want to crush those three chakra centers. We want to lift up and away from them so that the frequency from one to the other moves smoothly. And then let the body bend at the hips. Now, for those of you with a lot of scar tissue back here in the back, this could then start looking like this because we're going to try to get away from that sacral region. So if you notice your sacrum is rolling backwards and you're starting to play hide and go seek with your belly button in here, then we pull up again. We slide back in, bring those shoulder blades closer together. And then if this is as far as you go, this is as far as you go. But if you can pull down and in, then we get that upper back work, we get that mid back work, and then we loosen up through the hips just a little. If you need to drive the feet away, drive the feet away. One more big breath in and out. Roll that body up, walk the feet a little wide. We're going to go into balancing happy baby. Boop. So the arms are a little wider, shoulder blades have to come a little closer together, and then rock from sits bone to sits bone. Just noticing where center is, where I'm feeling a little more off balance. Little tiny micro adjustments having to go on in the core of the body to hold us from falling over. And then pause, roll, tuck, lift back up out into that wide V, pulling legs over the top of the body. Inhaling. Exhaling. Hopefully this is getting a little easier. Feet slide together, knees pull into the chest, your strap goes off to the side. And then just rock yourself, maybe hands on top of the knees, rolling around that sacral region. Breathing. Check in. How's that low back doing? How are the hips? How's the load that I'm carrying? I know for me personally, I feel like on a regular basis, I carry a pretty decent load. Well, I've been given the opportunity to put it down. So I keep looking to pick it up in other ways. You know, oh, can I help you? Oh, can I get, and ooh, one day last week, I just sat on the couch and held a chicken. Ooh. It's been very strange, not carrying a load constantly. Breathing in. Breathing out, dropping those feet right down behind the tush. I'm going to turn a little crooked on my mat. So with bridge posture, we want to plant those feet nice and firm. I'm going to move those blankets just a little bit. I want my hands on either side of the body, and I want to pull my shoulder blades down into the mat. Then the belly pulls down and in so that that low spine comes into contact with the floor. That's just to make sure that the corset of the ribs comes down and folds over my guts and protects everything inside. And then pressing into the backs of the arms, palms flat on the floor if you can, or pinky side. Press into the feet, let the hips rise, but not to crunching. This is not a competitive sport. So we're going to lift to find the strength in the quads, the hamstrings, the glutes, the low back, the mid back. And then if I take my glorious golden cosmic ball and I roll it up under my shoulder blades and I press with the backs of my arms, then my collarbones come into contact with my jaw, and I've created a nice rainbow with my erector spinae muscles. Everything holding on up and down either side of the spine, fighting osteoporosis, finding strength, and wringing out the nervous system in the spine region. Breathing in, breathing out, rolling that spine down. Let the knees rock from side to side. Now we're going to do this 2 more times. And we have options because we love options. I can choose to do 2 more bridges. I could choose to do another bridge and then do a supported bridge by rolling up one of my blankets and putting it under. I could do 2 supported bridges, or I could choose to roll up into wheel. I could choose to Come up into shoulder stand. Now, shoulder stand isn't something I teach a whole lot of anymore because so many people have cervical issues. But if it is at home something that you practice on a regular basis and you feel safe, absolutely go for it. If it's something you've never practiced before, never even heard of it before, leave it alone. Just flat out leave it alone. Watch. I would wait until it's offered in a class where an instructor can help you. So the thing that Bill is going to do is he's going to try to walk his elbows a little closer in, and he's going to make sure that his cervical region feels long and that his chin is pulled in toward the hollow of his throat. His shoulder blades try to walk back a little closer together, and then he's happy making shapes. So I could either choose another bridge or I can go for a full wheel, which at the age of 44, I only started practicing again this year. But I've done a lot of personal work with my spine. Breathing in, breathing out, finding your last exhale, rolling down, and then just letting the body subside. All the effort, let it subside. Let the body just rest. But if you want to just hang in the air and you want to do what you want to do, beautiful, do your thing. So third round, you can do another bridge, you can do another shoulder stand, you could do another wheel, you could go ahead and drop yourself into a restorative bridge, plop it up under the sacrum, or sit up, pull it behind the sacrum, and then roll back over it. Beautiful. So like Bill has gone into another bridge. He wants to get maximum breath work out of it so that he can really spread those ribs and stretch those intercostal muscles. And if you don't know what intercostals are, for those of you that eat spare ribs, those are intercostal muscles in between the ribs. I know people don't like my explanations all the time, but it's like, oh, right. So what I say is that when the aliens come down, anyways, use your imagination. One more breath. Let the hips roll down. Either let the knees come together in constructive rest, pull the knees into the chest because you feel like your low back is a little compressed, or you could tick-tock the legs from side to side. So there's a couple of different schools of thought on coming out of bridge posture or a wheel. If you're in a back bend, there's a natural lordosis in your low spine. So if you're in a back bend and you come out and then you curl into a ball, they would say that's counterproductive to the curve you just created. And then there's injury, surgical scars, scoliosis, the whole gamut, and tight hip flexors. So if you feel called to kind of curl back in, then that's a different story. You just, bodies are bodies. And like I tell my folks in classes, I don't have to drive home in your body. So make it feel good for you for 2 more breaths. And then we're going to move into our restorative bridge. We're going to take our rolled up blanket and we're going to put it behind our sacrum. Bill can just lift his hips and shove it up under the back of his tuchus there, like a, I'm going to date myself, like a typewriter. Or you can place it here, slowly roll back over it, and then just do with this what you need to do. So bodies all over the place are going to do different things. Some people are going to walk their feet wide and want their knees to knock in. Some people are going to want to put the soles of their feet together and let their knees fall out into Baddha Konasana. Some people are going to want to do another little mini back bend and send the arms over the head and the legs out, flex the feet into a little tiny little bridge. Some people are just going to hold And then others are going to want to lift their legs up over the top of the body in a supported legs up the wall posture. You could then move this to a wall, throw your legs up the wall with the blanket underneath your sacrum, and just hold there. So whatever you've chosen, give yourself 5 more breaths to just feel the body. Check in with the jaw. Check in with the tongue. Has it been pressed into the roof of the mouth? In this time of unknowing, I can guarantee that a whole lot of us are pressing our tongues into the roof of our mouths. Is my breath deeper now than when I started? Has my blood pressure come down? And have some of the stories that I've been listening to and been telling myself lately, have they kind of dissipated? One more beautiful breath. Check in with your sense of center, with your sense of grounding. And then choosing whether you want to stay where you are, whether you want to remove the bolster or the blanket, whether you want to put a pillow behind your head, or whether you want to go into a traditional shavasana, either laying out flat. I'm going to take my blanket and put it up under the back of Bill's knees. He's got a pillow under his head. And then because Bill was willing to show up today, he's going to get the special treat that others will get at home. Deepen the breath. Bring something to mind that you've always wished you could do. And then wonder if now is that gift of time for you to be able to do that. Breathing in a nice full breath. Exhaling, open mouth sigh. And then just restore. Allow the frequencies to settle the nervous system. And maybe to reach right into that root chakra or that sacral chakra where those feelings are and create a little more balance. begin to deepen the breath. Feel the back side of your body in connection with the mat. Notice if you feel like your soul is home again. Notice if you feel a little more connected to your sense of truth. Your sense of self. Notice if your emotions seem as though they've thrown away the pendulum. Coming fully back into the body. Elongating that breath just a little more. And then feel free to stay right where you are as long as you want. Nowhere to be, nowhere to go. Awesome. No class coming in on top of your class. Wonderful. And if you want to start moving, you can. Don't have to. We'll end as we always do with 3 deep breaths, 3 sounds. Any sound that works for you, that makes you feel at home in your body. Take a big breath, sigh it out. Belly, ribs, and collarbones. Breathe into the belly. Breathe into the ribs. Breathe into the collarbones. Breath with a sigh. Seal this practice up with some nice soothing Reiki energy sent from us to you. May all parts of you be well. May all parts of you be healed. May all parts of you be loved. Namaste.